Today's video is going to be about mom guilt, and not just the kind that you have yelled at your kids that day and now you're going to bed and you can't sleep because you're thinking about how it could have went differently, but I'm talking about the guilt that can start when they're babies and then it's not dealt with or even realized until they are significantly older. Could be months, could be years, and how we feel looking back on those moments. Let's go. This video talking a little bit about my experience with getting pregnant and being a mom. So my first child took 5 years to conceive, and we had help in doing that. And when he arrived, I felt like it was this really crazy, he was a C-section baby. I felt like it was a really lopsided way of birth. I mean, I was 35 years old, but I was extremely healthy and fit, doing all the things. Nothing was coming up negative on testing, but because I was 35, they pushed for a C-section. And if I knew then, what I know now, you know what I mean? But it was a C-section, and after I had him, I feel like, well, up until I had him, my whole life, like nothing really changed. I mean, it was a really good pregnancy. I worked out the whole time. I coached the whole time up until like the last day of a pregnancy. I remember I was going over about a week, and people were like, what are you doing? And I'm like, oh, I'm just trying to like speed it up. So nothing except my size really changed about my life. And then I had a baby, and I felt like my entire world shifted. And I know a lot of people say that, and I know that that is a common thing, but for me, it was not only, I mean, I think my hormones were just a wreck. And I think that the anesthesia played a huge part. And I think recovering from a C-section was like, they just basically go, here's a baby, don't walk up the stairs or vacuum, but take care of your baby. It's a wild thing we go through. But on top of all of that, I think what I was trying to do was recreate what my life looked like prior to a child and then have a child in it. So it was basically like live the same life and then live the life with the child, if that makes any sense to you. It was almost like two separate ways of looking at things. I still have my life. I can still do X, Y, and Z. I just have him now. So like he'll just have to adapt. And that was kind of my mindset. And not only did it not work, but it destroyed a couple years of parenting for me. Being like a family, and I didn't want that until I'm gonna say very late in life. I mean, I had my kid at 35, but I didn't even think that that was going to be a thing for me for a while. And when it came about, I think that that was also, it played into why I just couldn't connect the dots like that. Like I was like, oh, but I'm this and they're here. It was really strange for me. But anyway, my second child showed up, and for the first like 3 months or so, I mean, he was attached at the hip. So not only could I not recreate that first life that I had with my firstborn, right? Like I couldn't just bring him to the gym or like give him to my husband and I go to the gym. Now it was even harder to do. And what happened was something that was so chaotically beautiful. My entire life stopped. So me trying to dig out that old me, right? Like this is what I identify with. This is what makes me me. These are the things I do. This is where I go. This is what all of those things came to a screeching halt because I could not figure out how to do them anymore. And because everything stopped, I had to take a really deep dive into who I was without them. And I started to think to myself, if I don't have the gym ever again, what would that look like for me? And it sounds crazy because you're like, oh my God, people, say your life's just beginning and this is just a different, and I knew that, like on an intellectual level, I understood that. But my worlds were trying to collide, but this one was so like habitual, and so I felt it was so wrapped up in this is what makes me me. And then these guys came along and they were like, yeah, but you can't do that anymore. And then again, people be like, you could have done it, and I see people do it. Listen, I couldn't do it. I could not continue the schedules and the routines with my babies. I was too stressed. I was too I couldn't figure out how to do it. So anyway, everything came to a stop, and I started to slow down a lot. And COVID helped with that too, believe it or not. So when I actually got COVID, I lost my taste and lost my smell. So weird, but I wasn't eating very much, and everything slowed down for me. I'm not going to say that's what helped me be a better mom to my kids, but it didn't hurt the fact that I wasn't up and going all the time, because I'm an up and goer. Like, I have to practice sitting, you know what I mean? So there I was, 2 kids, everything came to a screeching halt, and I was trying to figure out like how to do life, but I knew that this was my life now. Like, I was like ready to lean in a little bit. Okay, I'm leaning into the mom thing, and I'm liking it. I'm like, this is, I love being with these little guys. It's not easy. I'm not saying it's easy, but I love this. So here I'm going back and I'm looking at video of early days with my first. And when I tell you cringeworthy, listening to myself on those videos, if I were anybody else looking at that person, I would be like, oh, And it wasn't that I was yelling, it wasn't neglectful, it wasn't shut up, it wasn't none of that. But it was a definite, almost, this is gonna sound the way it sounds, I'm just being really real with you, almost an inconvenience, it sounded like in my voice. And I know it was because I just was sad and I was stressed and I didn't understand, but the way he would do things and the way I would just kind of go like, oh, you're whatever, you're fine, like those kinds of things. And I know that I'm making that, I can't pinpoint like exactly, but if anybody has ever been through this, I think like if you know kind of thing. My tone, my patience, the way that I would look at things, the way that my face, my body language was just always, anyway, too much time talking about that. But that really was, in those 3 years later, mom guilt from those early years crept in. And I was like, how the fuck do I deal with that? Like, so then I started to spiral again a little bit. So then I was like, how do I do this, you know? So as that started to play out, I was like, this can go one of a few ways, right? So this could go in a way of, I could lean into the guilt. And I have seen parents do this. So they struggle with how to deal with something with their child and they misunderstand how to handle it. I mean, we all do that all the time. But when it comes to something that you feel like you can't patch up, like if you yell at somebody and you lost your patience and you're like, that was really a jerk move, you can the next day do better, right? You're going to do that and then you're like remembering and you're like, I'm doing better. But when this is 3 years have passed and now you're in the 3rd year of life, right? 3rd, 4th year of life, and you're trying to now start to build the relationship that you wish you started to build at day 1. It doesn't look like an easy road. And the path of let me mother out of guilt seems at first like an enticing one because it's very loving. It's very loving. I use that term loosely. It's very give, right? You can do no wrong. I have making up to do. I want to build trust back, which is true in a lot of the sense, but not to the point where we let them just walk all over us. And that's where it gets really hairy. Like, you have trust to build back and you have stuff to do. But with that option, leaning into the guilt, what we do is we take ourselves out of what we can do right now to change things. And we act in the present as if we're changing the past, which is impossible. Only feelings and the only trust you can build and the only time that you can change and kind of maneuver things is in the now. Leaning into that guilt, the guilt way of doing things too, is a really surefire way as far as I can see, because I know people that have taken this route and they're very well-meaning people, and it starts to build up resentment. And I don't necessarily think it's resentment for the child, because it looks like that outwardly because they're giving, and the child is just kind of taking, and they just become like either aloof about it, they're just like, yeah, whatever, I get what I want. And then the parent starts to feel resentment it can seem like for the child, but I think what starts to happen is they start to really lose themselves and like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? And they don't know how to get out of it. So it looks like disrespect from the child, and that's basically what happens. Another way to go about it is just to pretend it never happened. And that never ever works. Ever, ever, ever. I don't think I have to go into this whole big spiel about why that doesn't work. But when you push things under the rug, I mean, the rug is like whatever muscle you want to put the emotion under. I laugh, it's not funny because they all go under there. But when you sweep that under there, it does show up in other ways. So you don't deal with the task at hand, and you know, it's like you're trying to apologize for things that you're doing, but you're doing them in a way that it is, he doesn't understand why you're doing them. There's no connection to, you know, I'm trying to change my behavior and there's a reason why. It's just like, it's disassociating. It doesn't work, it comes back to bite you. So if you're in a situation like that and you feel like you've lost years and years and years of parenting, whether it's days or years or whatever it is, all I can say is from personal experience that when you start today, like right now, today, deciding that you're going to parent differently and you're going to go about it differently, it really doesn't take that long for you to start to see a difference in the relationship with your kid, or at least it didn't with mine. And I mean, that even happened when he started to shift. There was, I'm not gonna get into this whole ranty thing, but I started to treat him like the older kid, because he has a younger brother. And when I did that, he started to push back heavy. Like, he started to really be, like, I guess you could call it disrespectful, but he was really just trying to establish, like, I'm still a kid. When I flipped it around a little bit and I didn't baby him, but I showed him the amount of like tenderness that I would show the younger version of who he just popped right, he came right back to life. So I say that just to let you know that all is not lost, and you can start today and make huge strides in whatever happened back then, because, you know, you're their mom or you're their dad. They're looking to you for that trust to be built back. And I think that it's built back a lot quicker than people lead on, you know. Yeah, I'm right here, honey. Anybody with a new baby, you just kind of go, I hope the lessons are well enough received so that we don't suffer too much, but sometimes we just have to learn the hard way. And us as humans, I think that's sometimes how we learn the best, because it sticks. Deal? I'm here with you. One mom to another. I gotta go check somebody for the bathroom.